Hey, this video is going to be a little bit different because I have horrible allergies and I literally look like a crack addict.
Peter?
Like, my eyes are red, I have snot dripping out of my nose, so instead I'm going to do the voiceover method and be really lazy about editing. So if this video is lazier than usual, I do not apologize. I feel like hot garbage. If I were to put a gun to your head and tell you to redesign the main six, could you do it? I mean, you probably could, but I would just tell you to pull the trigger. Throughout FIM, there are a few characters that get minor redesigns, tweaks to their character to make them more main character energy, if you catch my drift. But 6 character designs have stayed more or less identical throughout the show's 9-season run, for better or for worse. And if you haven't guessed it already, that is nobody other than the main 6. The main 6 were conceived at a time where they didn't quite have a lot of budget or actual time to work with. This made all the character designs quite plain and simple, leaving no room for any, I don't know, defining characteristics. Now, I know I'll get put on a cross for saying this. In all actuality, the designs are fine. I want to make that very clear. But compared to later seasons of FIM, they don't exactly scream main character energy, do they? Like, look at this pony, and tell me with a straight face that she looks like she'd be a nerd, a bookworm. Tell me, from looking at her design, point blank, the first thing that comes to your mind when seeing this character is that she loves reading books. Okay, now tell me she looks nerdy. I think the worst offenders of the main 6 are definitely Twilight and Rainbow Dash. I think the other designs are mostly fine. Like, Fluttershy has this huge mane for her to hide behind, and she has soft eye designs that are different from the other ponies. Her cutie mark is butterflies, which once again inflect her personality on her design. Rarity has this gorgeous flowing mane, which immediately tells you that she's fashion focused. Plus, the gemstone cutie mark tells you as such. Applejack's got a hat. And Pinky's Pinky. But for Twilight and Rainbow, nail me to a cross, do whatever you want to me. All I'm saying is I really don't feel like there's any defining characteristic about Rainbow Dash's design. Like, she has a rainbow mane and a blue coat, and her cutie mark is a rainbow lightning bolt. Good, but there's not much that tell you that she's a speedster that goes fast. Like, let's, for instance, look at Zip. Zip has a slimmer body type, more athletic. Her mane slicked back from the wind, right? She's a good design. And she immediately conveys her personality just by looking at her character. Rainbow Dash is just a Rainbow Dash, I don't know. Same thing I think with Twilight. She doesn't really have any defining characteristics. And I honestly think that human Twilight just having those glasses immediately conveys a lot more personality than Pony Twilight. All of this not to even mention the fact that every member of the main 6 has the exact same body type. As far as I'm aware, the reason why they did this is because of budget constraints of Season 1, aka they could not afford to make an entire character rig for every single member of the main 6. It would just be too much money and too time consuming. But then again, they did also have oddball characters like Snips and Snails who had weird body types, or Mr. and Mrs. Cake, for instance, who had weird body types. So main 6 not having body types might just be like, you know, an old fandom rumor, but still, the main 6 all have the exact same body type, and it's boring. Like, did you guys know that Valve put a shit ton of work in designing the Team Fortress 2 mercenaries to look as distinct and recognizable in silhouette form as possible? You've probably heard this before, right? Can't say the same about the ponies though and do the same thing. Now, you might look at this silhouette graph and yell foul ball. After all of their manes were removed, and that's like their most defining characteristics. But I disagree with the foul ball call because this is literally straight from Hasbro. Turns out Hasbro themselves agree with me on some level. And when it came time for Hasbro to design the G5 main characters, they very specifically decided to design the characters in a way that they're incredibly recognizable from a distance. Call G5 trash all you want, but you gotta admit they absolutely nailed their character designs, even if you hate bean mouths with a passion. Now, with all that being said, why am I talking about this? Why am I wasting my breath discussing how unpersonable that Twilight and Rainbow's designs are? Well, I'm really interested in character designs. Really, I am. I like characters who just immediately convey the information about them just through their just straight design. It's really cool. And I'm here to look at some of the redesigns in the actual show. That's right, Hasbro themselves, on a few different occasions, noticed that some characters need a little more TLC and redesigned them. The characters in question are Princess Luna, Bohoof, Nurse Redheart, and kinda maybe Twilight Sparkle if you squint your eyes in a certain way. So, first of all, let's start with Princess Luna. Her very first appearance in all of FIM was Season 1 with this design. This is actually super interesting because Luna only ever showed up in Episode 2 of Season 1. And the next time we saw Luna in Season 2's episode Luna Eclipse, when she makes another appearance, she was completely redesigned. Now, in her first appearance, Luna seems to have a completely normal mane. It's hair-based, which is a stark contrast to Celestia, who is her sister, whose hair is wavy and magic-based. But then when Luna shows up again in Season 2, however, she looks noticeably very different. Her coat is a much darker shade of blue, and her mane looks remarkably similar to Celestia's. So, the big question is, why? Why does Luna look so different between Season 1 and Season 2? There are quite a few fan theories as to why, but I don't really think any of them make much sense, so sorry theorists. The main big theory is that when Luna was hit with the elements of magic, she was completely drained of all of her magic to get rid of the nightmare. And Celestia and Luna's manes are magic-based, ergo, no magic, no flowy mane. It potentially took Luna days to regenerate her magic, to the point where her mane would flow like Celestia's. And by the time we see her again in Season 2, her mane had recovered. But there are quite a few holes with this theory. The big hole is that we've seen what Celestia and Luna look like without their magic. In the Season 4 finale, they give all their magic to Twilight for safekeeping. They drain so much of their magic that Tyric can't even get a single sip. Yet their manes are still this weird flowy thing. They just kind of stop flowing and look like they put a lot of hair gel in their hair. And Luna's doesn't return to the way it was. It also doesn't help that we've actually seen Luna in the past with flashbacks, and she has a flowy mane. So for some inexplainable reason, the elements of harmony interrupted Luna's flowy mane for like a week. And then what? They recast her mane spell? Wait a minute. Mane spell. Wait, that's it. Okay, well, now my official theory is that the mane is just a vanity spell. That's it. That's all it is. Celestia and Luna just simply thought it looked cool to have flowy manes, and they made themselves look like that. That could also explain why young Celestia and young Luna in the comics look like they have a normal mane, because they hadn't discovered the spell yet. But in all actuality, I literally just think that the real reason why Season 1 Luna and Season 2 Luna look so different is entirely for recognizability's sake. It's kinda hard to headcanon away a corporate decision, right? The next character that has a redesign is none other than Bohoof, aka Rainbow Dash's dad. Now this might come out of complete left field for a lot of people. Like, what do you mean Bohoof got redesigned? Who the hell is that? In the grand scheme of things, he seems as if he's not a very important character to redesign, right? And you're kind of right. In the Season 3 episode, he shows up with a young Rainbow Dash. In the episode, I think it's meant to imply that Rainbow Blaze, as the fandom calls him, is supposed to be her dad. I mean, look at him. He literally shares her colors, right? But in Season 8, when Rainbow's dad was formally introduced on screen, you might notice that he looks different. Very different. It's obviously supposed to be the same pony. They have the exact same coat color, exact same rainbow mane, and even the exact same eye color. But they look totally different. So Hasbro seemed to have recognized how bland Rainbow Blaze was, and when it came time to introduce him in a new episode, they simply just redesigned him into Bohoof. And I think Bohoof really just kind of perfectly encapsulates how the design language from Season 1 to Season 9 transitioned. Initially, in the first, 3 seasons, the only real difference between most ponies was just the design and colors of their manes, right? But as the show progressed, they introduced cooler and cooler designs, adding more and more elements to their characters. Eventually, until random background ponies literally looked like main characters. I mean, for instance, look at these two. These are two background characters that literally never show up ever again, yet they look like they could have an entire spin-off series based around them. So when Hasbro was approached with an opportunity to redesign a character that almost nobody cares about, and nobody would be too, peeved off if they were to redesign this character, they did. And now we have Bohoof. Another really interesting character that was partially redesigned was none other than Nurse Redheart. Apparently, My Little Pony broke the Geneva Convention, so that's neat. If you don't know, the Geneva Convention has very very specific guidelines about how you can use the red cross symbol. A lot of games, movies, and TV shows use the red cross symbol to mean health. Health kit, get help here, medic, blah blah blah, and MLP is no different. Nurse Redheart, in her first few appearances, had the red cross symbol as her cutie mark. But apparently that was breaking the Geneva Convention, and in every subsequent Redheart appearance, her cutie mark is heart-based, not cross-based, which is honestly kind of cringe. I mean, think about it. I can understand if people are misappropriating the red cross and muddying the meaning behind it, right? But I swear to you, every time I hear the red cross being removed from a game or a TV show, it's almost more detrimental than if the red cross was left alone. Like, take for instance, the game Prison Architect. They were slapped around by the Red Cross organization for using the red cross on their ambulances and health kits. Like I said, I think removing the red cross is counterproductive because, to me, if you want people to make the logical conclusion that red cross means health, red cross means help, you'd leave the cross in those games for people to make that connection. So if you're removing the connection between red cross and help, you're kinda, you know, it's just crazy to me. I don't know how to explain it. And finally, the last character on this list is Twilight Sparkle, kind of. I don't think it really fits, but I would like to mention it anyways. Twilight never got a redesign, at least not to the level I detailed in the beginning of the video by giving her glasses. Instead, I think she just kind of grew up. It just so happens that her growing up is insane compared to everybody else. When Rainbow gets old, she gets a sick jacket. When Pinkie gets old, she gets fluffy hair. When Twilight gets old, she turns 9 feet tall. But what I'm talking about is that potentially maybe Twilight was actually retroactively changed in G5. Because in G4, the latest we've ever seen her in G4 is obviously the end of season 9, where she's this really tall bacon hair lady. But the latest we've seen Twilight in the timeline as a whole is this scene in G5, where she's recording a message for the future main 6 to discover. But she doesn't look like she has bacon hair. She doesn't look like the way she did at season 9. She looks normal. Maybe a bit taller than usual, maybe cadence-sized? So does this mean that the bacon hair Twilight is decanonized? Maybe, but there's no telling, as G5 was cut short, so we'll never know.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal made impressions on me.